All right, now speak. I'm excited to be with you. I'm Dr. Cheryl Clarke, and it's Tuesday, so you know that means that it is the power call. We're just here for just a couple of minutes so we can get you powered up for the day. Start your day wherever you may be. You can watch in the middle of the day, whichever it is, but this is to power you up. This is to speak your power now. Stand in your power, be with your power, and move forward in your power. All right, so if this is your first time here, I'm Dr. Cheryl. I'm a psychotherapist, and what I do is I just come to give you a little bit of tools to walk you through the day. I'm not here to replace your therapist or to replace your mental health professional. I'm here to give you educational content, not so much therapy, but education to begin to power you, to empower you so you can begin to move in your power. All right, so we start off with the Girl You Cute book. If you haven't got yours, go ahead over to the Amazon and go ahead and get Girl You Cute. Girl, you know you cute. You know you're cute. Maybe you didn't know you was cute. Well, you're going to find out you cute today. You're going to find out you are cute today. All right, so in the very beginning of the book, I have something called the Speak Your Power Now Declaration. And it's in every time we start the day, we always start it with the declaration. So I want you to take a nice, long, slow, deep breath into the nostril if you're safe in a place that you can do so. I want you to take a nice, long, slow, deep breath and exhale that out. Take a nice, long, slow, deep breath into the nostrils once again and exhale that out. I want you to repeat silently to yourself after me. Today, I reclaim my power of purpose. Today, I declare that I have unshakable faith and confidence in my uniqueness. Today, I declare that I will not live in fear, but with power, love, and a sound mind. Today, I declare that I always communicate with words to empower myself and others. Today, I declare to always honor myself by living in the present and living powerfully in each moment. Amen and Ashe. All right, well, let's get started today. I'm excited to be with you. Like I said, I'm Dr. Cheryl Clarke, and I'm a psychotherapist, and I've been doing this thing for a minute now. And when I've seen clients, I know that their voice takes. So I call myself the voice recovery specialist, I can say, because this isn't an opportunity for you not to even to get involved, but understanding, knowing your voice, knowing your power, knowing that I have power, know that I can stand in my power, know that I could be with my power. So this opportunity here right now, I want you to begin to see yourself. And over the weekend, I do a workshop. Well, I use the mirror as a tool. And sometimes this mirror, and I have my mirror right next to me, this mirror, right? It can be used as a weapon, but some of the things I want to say to you today, I want to say to you, I want to show you something today. Let me show you something that's been probably invisible for your entire life. You've been seen through filters, or you see yourself through filters, the limiting messages that's been installed inside of you. Maybe mine was you talk too much, stay in your lane. Who do you think you are? All those things, right? These are your thoughts. These aren't your thoughts. These little post-it notes that I usually do in my workshop. And we stick these reflections of what people have said about ourselves. And then they block you from seeing your actual power, the actual true essence of who you are. And today we're making them visible because you can't remove what you can't see. So I want you to look at some of the things I've been talking about. If you go to past power calls or things I talk about, here's what research shows. Your brain, your self recognition, that system, it may be hijacked by the internal voices, the imposter syndrome that you hear about a lot, the voices that somebody used to say to you that still runs and plays in the back of your head. See, there's neuroscience around this. When you think about yourself, You're not just accessing the objective reality, you're actually accessing the story that has been written by everyone else who had an opinion about you. That teacher in the third grade that said you were too loud. Maybe the teacher in the third grade that said you was too dumb. Maybe the boss who said you weren't ready. Maybe it's a family member who told you that you're not being realistic. You can't do that. See, those messages in psychology we call that the identity script. See, that identity script keeps running automatically. So you are taken by I call the ARR, which is a psychological theme or term. It's the activating, reactivating response. You are activating the reactive response. So when you are reactivated, what starts to happen is you are now moving in that reactivated response. So while you're operating in these scripts that someone else wrote for you, while you're operating in that space, you need to begin to look and see how can I operate for more confidence? Because that's the cause. Breaks down your confidence. And then you like, how do I now manifest this? See, the real thing is, am I real or is it manufactured? And sometimes it could be manufactured. So I want you to look at yourself. I want you to say to yourself today that I'm more than qualified. And now we have to begin to clean the mirror. Maybe the images was distorted. And what I usually do in my workshops is called the mirror mapping exercise. And here's what we're going to do right now together. If you can, I want you to go ahead and get a piece of paper. What I usually do is I usually do a sticky note on my mirror. And I want you to write a silencing message that someone said to you. You're not experienced enough. People don't like you. You're too much. You're too dumb. Whatever it is, I want you to write it down. Now I want you to look at one of those things. What's been running in your head? And I want you to pause for a moment. You're too aggressive. You're not smart. You're not enough. You don't have the right credentials. You're not leadership material. All of that. So here's the pattern. For every single one of these things that made you small, none of these actually have the capability of making who you are. They're keeping you in a box. So this is the reality check I want you to have today. The messages aren't protecting you, they are protecting you from the others. Now, what do I mean by others? I mean by the others that said those things about you. So who said it first? I want you to look at it. Who said it first to you? Who's the person that opinion really matters? Why did that opinion really matter? Who's that one person? Who's that one thing that was said that you're still holding on, that limiting belief that you're still holding on? See, that the most limiting belief is from people who had their own agenda for trying to keep you small. And today, the visual power of this mirror, the external, what you're going to be looking at, here's why it's so powerful. Here is why this is a powerful exercise. Because let me tell you something. When we hear about traditional affirmations, and here's why they really may not work as well, because that internal script that we have is much louder than what we say. But in psychology, I want you to write it down. Write down the messages because as we write physically, Take them actually and put it on the mirror. And externally, you're going to begin to see how you can make yourself visible, because you're going to begin to embody. See, the brain process physical action. You need to physically do something different. When you see a limiting thought, then I want you to begin to see how it's covering your reflection of who you really are. Your brain understands in a way that it could not. Those floating messages in your head, your brain needs to see it so you can begin to break through to that message, that lie. See, most people are crying through this exercise. Why? Because they didn't even know that it was a lie that they've been holding on to. Because they're seeing for the very, very first time that they're carrying a lie that wasn't theirs. And you're beginning to operate as you clear the mirror and you're seeing your true image and love to look in that mirror. See, it's bringing awareness to action. See, your awareness within or your awareness without action is very expensive to your self-esteem, your self-knowledge, your self-perception. So this week, your assignment is very, very powerful, but it's a small little action I want you to take. I want you to get a mirror, whether if it's handheld, whether if it's your bathroom mirror, wherever you are. And I want you to write a limiting belief about yourself. And I want you to completely do this. And then I want you to sit with the visual. And then actually look at who gave you that story. Because it probably wasn't you. It probably was not you. Then I want you to train your brain to realize that these messages, they are separate from your identity. They are removable. And then begin to remove them, rip them up. Then I want you to compound it with any extra to your voice. This is where it matters. Your voice matters. See, this is what happens. 70% of people immediately lose power from their voice immediately when something happens. 70% lose their voice. And the other 30 may disappear. So I want you to see how you could begin to use 70% of your voice, or maybe 100% of your voice, and say, listen, with these practices that I'm doing, what would you do if you weren't operating for someone else's script? I'll be doing what I'm doing right now. When they told me I was too much, that wasn't smart enough. See, these questions can finally be answered once you clear the mirror. So as you are looking, the question is about seeing your own mirror. So today, I want you to look at your reflection. Today, I want you to see what story that you're carrying that wasn't yours. This week, I'm making you visible. Write it down. Put it on the mirror. See what's actually blocking your view. See what's actually there. And then I want you to use your voice powerfully. Look at yourself in the mirror and say, girl, you cute. Knowing that what it is, knowing how you could begin to move in your power, knowing sometimes you got to say no, knowing that you got to free her, see her, and hear her. That's the truth. No more would your power be silenced by these internal messages that's blocking your view. Today, we are removing all barriers, visual, physical, psychologically, we are removing them. So I want to hear from you. What are you removing today? What are you removing today, ladies? Now it's time for me to ask you, what are you removing today? It's good to see your beautiful faces in the room. Tell me what you're removing today or what you're standing in today. Let me hear back from you. I'm excited to see all of you today. Let me hear back. Is this good or is it great? Or is it this is something that you need for this morning? This power stop that we have is just to give you a little power so you can move on with your day. Ladies, let me hear from you in the chat if you can, or if you can open your mic. And Shawnee says, you can't remove what you can't see. Absolutely. Anybody want to say anything now as I'm opening up for space here to speak? You can talk, you can say whichever, or something not clear, or it is clear, you just want to confirm some things. This is your time, power time, I should say. Go ahead, Lady Lisha. Welcome.
Good morning. Good morning.
Good morning.
Um, I think I'm still going to go with what I did on Saturday and really remove the story that I am too late.
Mm,
Um, and it's like sometimes you have to dig and say, well, too late for what? And um I think that story actually started because I was such a young teenage mom. Um, I was pregnant at 13, and so I had my daughter at 14. And immediately, when I wanted to do certain things, I remember I don't even know who actually said it, Cheryl. I don't know who said it, but I know that I wanted to continue on in school or whatever. And it was just like, well, honey, you too late for that. I mean, you got to be a mom now, and
mm.
so you got to find another route. And I think just hearing it that one time, it just sort of carried over to anything that I've ever wanted to do. If I did, oh no, I'm too late for that. Oh no, I'm too late. And I am just tearing that story down brick by brick, brick by brick. There's still some things that, I think I'm on the fence about because I feel like I'm too late. Um, and so I think I have to do some work with that.
Thank you for being so transparent. And that's really the story or whatever. And I wanted to say it ties back to an event usually or something that's happened in our lives. And she may not have been able to find out who said it, but she understood that it was an event and it was her pregnancy. So what she did was, and if you know her, you can go over to her site, Glory Not Guilt. When you look at her today, her whole movement is surrounding those things that people said. So if you look at me, speak your power now. I was told to shut up. You too loud. Like, what are you talking about? So usually the traumatic stories that we got running in our head is the thing we're supposed to confront. Like Sharonda, she was bullied, I believe, in school and stuff like that. And now she has Zuri, and we helped the girls sponsor some girls this over the weekend for Girl You Cute. Sharonda, is that correct? That was about you being bullied. Was you and you started the is that the running theme?
No, no, coach. Actually, it was me wanting a mentor and somebody's support system. And I wanted to be the person that I did not have.
Great. And when you look at that, this is when you're going to see how it's connected to whatever story it was. Whatever story that you have, ain't nobody got time to mentor you. She goes, okay, well, let me just do this for girl because I really wish somebody would do that to me. And then she created it. I look at Danielle. She. Everybody here, I kind of know. Danielle says, "I'm gonna go be a doctor." They told me I can't do it. Right now, she's a single mom, about to be a doctor. She can't talk right now because she's driving. She's about to be a doctor. This is what I'm saying. Single mom has her own home. She's doing a darn thing. And somebody told her, and somebody's always attempted to take her voice from her. You are not too late. You are not old enough. You are not young enough. You're not tall enough. Not tall enough. You are just right. God created you just the way you are. But there's times that we look in this mirror and we see a whole lot of things wrong. And it's most likely the stories we did not tell ourselves. It's external stories that we internally swallowed, and we are living through that theme. So I'm here to let you know that this is an opportunity. You raise your hand again, Michelle?
I did because I want to ask. I know that we on this call specifically we talk even from a psychological standpoint, but I'm sitting here pondering and I'm like, Father, like who literally said that to me? And
Mhm.
I almost feel like it was the voice of the enemy does not it's not always this deep spooky voice. He has the ability to sound and look like anything. He can change. And I'm like, did that literally just come from the voice of the enemy? Um, and just sort of stuck with me. And I'm just wondering your thoughts because I literally cannot picture those words coming out of someone's mouth, but I can hear it clear as day,
Mhm.
almost like a woman's voice.
Mm.
And I'm just wondering your unless it's blocked, unless the face of the person is blocked, because I cannot point to the person.
Yeah, so that's a good point because sometimes our internal voices that imposter syndrome, like you would think is true, like these things that are happening behind us, behind the scenes. So when I talk about who told you and traumatic experiences, one or two things that could happen with trauma. When something happens in your life, trauma could either you can forget it completely or you can create something in your head that you really believe the story that it actually happened. However, I will say that sometimes our inner voices do and are just sounds just like, and you can see this, we sometimes you hear the saying, we are our worst, our own self worst enemy. And sometimes we are fighting ourselves. That inward work, this is why the mirror is so important because that voice, that inner dialogue that we have and our brains, the stories that we tell ourselves, that's why the narrative therapy is so important because if you get a narrative, it's called a narrative uh, therapy theory. And these therapists, what they do is they work with your narrative. So the stories that you're telling yourselves, because our brains, we call it the story making machines. So we take these things that may happen to us, even sensations, memories, the emotions, those little bits, and then we put them together with language. And what starts to happen? What starts to happen is a story. And then we start compounding that story through the years. And then you have a moment like this that you have to stop and think, hmm, where did that story come from? Was it outside of me? Did it sound like me? Does it necessarily have to come from someone? Was I making meaning about something that internally that I made up about myself? Okay. And then in psychology, if I must bring something in here, those imprints in our memories are strong sensations. And we block these things in our brains. And sometimes we can recall them fully or we can't recall them at all. But we know how it made us feel. We know how it made us internally, that shoulda, coulda, criticism and the spiritual warnings and all that thing that we have is very, very real. Now, this is where I want you to reframe, everyone here. The new frame of your discernment is, I want to call it that everyone has that inner discernment. Whether you feel it is, some people from church is prophetic, some people say their intuition, whatever it is, in discernment, whatever you want to call it. I believe that people are on this call to say, how can I now look at my life at a different lens? And then you can say, now I am going to rewrite that story, my own narrative, like Lachelle Bolton is doing right now. She wrote a book, and I believe her 30 days wellness is because there's sometimes you got to take the labels and get a reality check. And the only thing where you could do that, I believe, is actually writing it out and get the extra support that you need. Sometimes you got to begin to say, I command my day. I am commanding my day in power. Talk to yourself, talk to your day, talk to your reflection. It's a good idea to begin to talk to her. And I'm going to tell you this. Oprah Winfrey said something. They asked her a question. They said, Oprah, do you ever, if you went into a room and you were the only Black person, Black woman, and you walk into this room, how do you begin to see yourself and stand in your own power? How do you do that, Oprah Winfrey? She says, first of all, I don't see myself as the only Black person in that room, the only Black woman in that room. Because what I do is I go to the bathroom or closet, whatever I do before I know I'm going into a room like that. And I start calling on my ancestors. I start calling on all the Black women that came before me that had to sit at those tables. The Fannie Lou Hamers. I had to call on the Shirley Chisholm. I had to call on Maya Angelou. I had to call on Harriet Tubman. I had to call on all them. And I don't go in there alone. I pull on my ancestors to stand in the power at sometimes that I may not have. I thought that was powerful. So, ladies, my ladies of color, there's been things that have been said to you and things you may have said yourself, but you are powerful. Stand in your power. Lead with your power. If you got a voice that God gave you, use it. You need to learn how to speak? Come to me. You need to learn how to stand in your power? So be it. Find your voice today. Look in that mirror and you love on her. And you say, I got the power to be the best version of me today. And I am complete. Anybody got anything to say? Michelle says, this is deep. I need to send a code back up. This is powerful. Okay, great, 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 great. Anything that anybody would like to say? All right. I'm glad this was great. Love that. Okay, great, great, great. All right. Well, I am at the end. Keep rewatching it. It's on YouTube. You can go ahead and rewatch it, rewatch it, rewatch it. Remember, those lies in the mirror is not you. This is your reality check today. I'm Dr. Cheryl Clarke signing off, saying, girl, you cute. Have a blessed day.
You are enough. Your voice is divine. Now speak.